Everyone's got a different sort of idea of what their favorite thing is about their headphones. You see some guys like shooting for like bass, like like a lot of a lot of bass content. Probably if you're listening to like synthesized music and things like that. Or some people more focused on the mids, the vocals, the voice, stuff like that, and other people are like certain kind of highs. Some people like a muted.
You're just talking about the sound, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than that. Some people like the size.
Well, that's
the weight,
true.
the look, the build, the person that makes it. Yeah. The design ethos. Yeah. There's a
just the
wide
colors.
range.
Colors, yeah.
Colors.
Some people don't want any color. They like plain black.
Some people want it to be flashy. Other people want it to be as understated as you can make it.
Yeah. Well, I think the best thing to do to start is let's talk about what we look for in a headphone. What each of us individually, and I'm going to go with sound because that's obviously where I started. So,
well,
but anyway, you guys, I don't know which one.
Yeah. So this one's pretty easy for me, although it's a very complicated topic.
Yeah.
It's something
easy?
I think about it. Yeah. Well, I think about it.
Well, it's easy because you design headphones.
However,
maybe
it's not easy to describe because it really does depend a great deal on what you're looking for in a headphone at the time.
Well, I should preface this. You're in a unique position because you make the headphone you use. That's a
right.
It is pretty rare.
There ain't too many people in the world that can say, I designed this headphone.
We talked about this before.
In part, it's kind of designed for you because like you're using them. In part, same with us. We're all using them. So that's a unique position to be in, really.
There's a lot of nuance there, though, because I'm sort of designing a headphone that works for most people. However, there's a lot of fickle things that are really hard to fully understand what people are looking for. So primarily all that little nuance is designed around what I'm looking for when you can't really directly, reliably ask someone that question. So largely it's designed for me.
Well, in ways.
Yes.
When we test out a fitment, you're fitting it on your head.
Well,
we're all fitting it.
Yeah.
But you're doing yours first.
Well, it's easiest to understand.
And that's kind of your reference.
It. Yeah.
That's his reference of going, okay, well, how's this going to feel?
Well, it's the easiest and, fastest. Instead of I need to go find a person to try this on.
Yeah.
You're the person.
Yeah, right.
Right, that's the foundation, I guess.
Yeah. And then it rotates through the whole place.
Yeah, everybody try this. Yeah.
But for me, what I look for in a headphone in general, and of course I look at a lot of headphones, assuming it's a higher price point, there's very different things that matter than a low price point. You could forgive a great deal when it's a $5 headphone or disposable headphone. Or if you intend to use it just to beat up and you gotta go work out with it or something like that and get thrown around and it's $50. That's a different story.
Like waterproof for sweating and stuff.
But totally different topic. So I think we'll talk primarily about just like high-end headphones in this one. And for me, I really care a great deal about the design, the build, the hows and whys behind the product. That matters quite a bit to me. So it's more than just the aesthetic. The aesthetic needs to make sense, of course, but it needs to be built right.
Well, I think because you come at it from an engineering standpoint of view, so, you being that, looking at it from the screws they use. Like I remember when we were talking about the Apple over here, the whatever the hell they call it. The
Max.
AirPods
the
Max.
Yeah. We did a video on that, which was pretty popular. And I think we did 2 videos on it. And we were just from an engineering, just from the standpoint of build, we didn't even really listen to the damn thing, talking about the screws and the feel of the ear pads. And, these are things that we look at because we design headphones for a living. So I think it automatically, isn't it? It's almost an automatic when you pick up another headphone, whoever might have made it. I think we assess it pretty quickly, I think, just by the looks, right? Because you're in the feel.
I guess you're looking at it differently because you're like, how did they make this?
Yeah.
Which is not really what most consumers probably think.
Not that we don't know how they made it.
Yeah, right.
It's just that, what's it made of, the materials, what's different from that company versus what we do.
But I guess you do that with everything. Any other headphone you pick up, you're like, oh, yeah, I see how they did this.
Yeah, right.
But most people are like looking at the color,
Yeah.
Oh, I like this color. I like this wood.
Or they'll put it on the head and see how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of try to discover the hows and whys behind the way things are manufactured with almost every product. And I think largely for me, that's primarily because there's a lot of design aspects about the product that are really hard to kind of grasp at first glance or to really fully understand. And they matter to me, but it's hard to see it immediately. So it's almost like you're sort of trying to discover why this product was made a certain way to see if the design language fits into what you're looking for in the product, if it suits your needs, I guess.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cognitive shortcut, I guess.
Well,
in
and you
that
also
regard.
know by trial and error, because we've gone through literally tens of thousands of, probably hundreds of thousands of permutations on our own headphone designs, that you know by trial and error, looking at someone else's, the mistakes they made too.
Yeah.
It's, you're looking at it going, oh, this is going to be a problem, or this, I know this, I'm going to like this because we did that before, we tried that. So you're actually going by experience in design, where a lot of guys, most people out there don't have that. I mean, but they do have experience from trying other headphones.
Well, yeah.
So, I guess it's the same thing.
Same kind of thing.
If you go through enough headphones, you could probably look at it and kind of go, well, I'm probably going to not like the way that fits, or it's not going to be big enough for
Not
my
always,
head.
though, we know.
or-
Because we know with 1266, people say that, oh, that won't be comfortable for
Yeah,
me. And then
right.
people are like, I did try it, and it works.
Yeah. In
So
fact, everybody says that.
It's a very unusual
yeah,
situation.
it's actually pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
It looks like it
So I guess
doesn't look like it would be.
It's the
but-
definition of judging a book by its cover.
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
thing,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right. But when you look at a product like that, there's a lot you could determine
Well,
just
yeah.
at a first glance.
Yeah.
And it seems more likely that's more of a function over form type product.
Yeah.
And you could extrapolate from what that means.
Yeah, I know. Because, like, for me, I'm not too worried about color at all about my headphones. Like,
Right.
make them black, I don't care. Because, as people say, it's like, well, you can't see them when you're wearing them, right? So, most of the time, you don't even think about the color. You put them on.
Yeah, you're primarily using it at home.
Yeah. If you're going outside, it's one thing.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, indoors, yeah, I don't care.
But on something like that, in the same regard, if I see a product and something doesn't make sense, even if I don't care about it, I could find it to be distasteful because it shows to me that this wasn't well considered, and that can bother me. It seems reasonable that you should expect everything to be quite well considered, and it should be a well-designed, thought-out product. If it's a commercially viable thing that you could just go buy in the store.
And even in terms of sound, I mean, that's to me, that's kind of the primary thing.
Yeah, but again, everybody's got different preferences
Yeah.
there. So you can't say one thing is the best. Everybody likes to think. It's
I like to
this
be able
is
to
the
hear the sense of space within the recording. I don't like a flat sounding recording. I like to hear, the how the sound developed with whatever the room space, whatever they were doing, and
Yeah.
the decay of instruments, even the decay of drum skins. I like hearing that decay.
Well,
I
there's a
I don't
huge
like it when it's
variation
not there.
on that front.
You know?
from track to track.
I call it flat,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't. It doesn't have the harmonic structure that you're accustomed to with a live instrument. And it's so that to me that's the first thing is it doing that? Does it have the harmonic structure? Can you hear the decay of string instruments and instruments out over time, or does it just cut it short somewhere?
Yeah.
And,
The thing with that is, though, that's very dependent usually on like the genre of music you're listening to.
True.
You don't get
Yeah.
like EDM that's like
Yeah.
recorded in a room, obviously.
Hence, I don't listen
Yeah.
to EDM.
Yeah.
but
So
right,
you can't even do that really.
right.
I mean, you could.
You're talking about the technical performance
Yeah.
of the headphone, though.
It's subjective
So
or technical. Yeah, it's
would it
technical.
be acceptable
It's
to
technically
you
subjective.
if a headphone was reasonably affordable and it was just in some garbage chassis, but it was comfortable enough and it sounded great? Would that be an acceptable compromise? Would you not really be worried
I
about
think
the
so.
mechanicals?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but it depends on the price point at that point.
Right.
You're not going to spend thousands of dollars for something that looks like it's going to fall apart. So, but yeah, I mean, that's unusual though. I mean,
Yeah.
to see a headphone that is built like shit and sounds good.
Mhm.
I mean, really good, exceptionally good. That's kind of
That's
like,
very rare.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
that's-
usually do go hand.
That's
in
called a
hand.
fluke.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
you probably can't make more than one of those. Somehow you manage to put
But
some
still,
pieces together.
you effectively
But, yeah.
treat the chassis and its enclosure and whatnot as a vessel to contain the performance.
Right.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
I sort of look at everything as weighted relative to the price of the product and where it fits into the market and stuff. So everything's important. The performance matters, but it fits into a little bucket of a weighted performance range in the totality of the circumstances.
See, I was just thinking. See, it's more important looks, at least for me, but most people, I'd say, in speakers though, because
Yeah.
the difference is instead of wearing them and not seeing them, speakers when you listen to them, you're looking at them. So that's
Yeah.
way more important, I think, in speakers.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of people, it's all that matters.
Yeah, true.
If you're
True.
sticking some big box in the middle of a living room or something,
Yeah.
usually,
You're not doing that with your headphones. It's like, oh, I'm just putting these out as an art piece.
Yeah,
you know?
usually somebody's going to want to
You have very different motivations.
Someone's going to want it to look more like furniture than it
Right.
does a speaker.
With a
you know?
headphone, almost everyone expects it to work. And so there's certain criteria they're looking for. They're looking for, a certain ergonomic weight, whatever, price point and things like this because they go plan on using it and whatnot. And the more expensive it is, the less likely you are to want to go take it outside. So it depends on how you're using it. And if you plan on using it outside, you're going to be looking for different things if you plan on using it inside with dedicated amps. And speakers, totally different than headphones. A lot of people are buying it just for the way they look, for the size they take up, how they fit in the room.
Especially in the higher end of things. Like I know I've worked with dealers for decades, and people really have a lot of money, and they'll choose on the looks of the speaker, and the sound is completely secondary as long as it'll make sound.
If it matters at all.
Again, though,
Yeah,
it's
right.
just like in headphones because the ones that look really nice, they probably sound at least good.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not going to be like these sound.
Well,
bad.
especially you're spending, you
Yeah.
start talking about speakers that are in the tens of thousands of dollars range. How bad could it be?
Well, yeah, you would think.
It's going to be okay.
But that's the other
You know?
thing. They never move, right? So you don't need
Yeah.
to worry about weight. You don't need to worry about taking them outside.
Yeah.
So it's a whole.
Yeah, and
different
how you
thing.
need to drive them doesn't even matter, too.
Right.
You just get a bigger or
Bigger
different
amp.
amp. It
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
really. You need an amp either way, right?
Right.
You're not plugging it into 20 different things. You need it to work on all of them.
Yeah, headphones are a little more particular in that.
They're very
They're
technical.
mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got to work in such a wide
And on the
range.
pro
so
side
diverse.
too. I mean, those guys. I mean, a lot of if you're in a studio setting, great. Everything's probably just sitting there waiting
Well,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But a lot of people nowadays, a lot of bands, a lot of popular people do their own recordings at home or live or on site somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine you're always trying to interface to something that you haven't plugged into before, and that's a whole different ball game, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those guys have different needs though too. Like,
Well, yeah.
you know, we tried to do that with Dynamar. We said, well, you know, Dynamar is kind of like bridging pro audio with audio files and, you know, 2-channel guys and consumer, where we're trying to get a kind of even sound out of it that both could appreciate. But then when you listen to stuff that pros use, it tends to be more analytical, different.
They're using it as a tool.
Yeah.
Not for enjoyment.
Right. It's
right.
not as much fun,
Right.
really, you know, because it is a tool.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when do you find people using a hammer for fun? It's a
Well,
tool.
I'm sure there are people.
But in the headphone side of things, you know, you can get all kinds of sounds out of a system. And so, yeah, for the average consumer who's listening to the recorded information, it's what do you like? Bottom line, what do you like to hear? And pick your system to fit it.
Well, I'm assuming neither of you do this, but do you ever like go walk outside with like a Diana on? I don't really do that, but it is nice because having if close to like an at-home sitting at your desk experience, but you're like
Yeah.
outside. It's like it's weird. Like the first time you try that, it's
I
like
haven't actually.
yeah.
Never.
I don't do it. I
don't-
have done it, but I don't.
I guess primarily because I just don't go out with anything.
Yeah, right.
Audio.
Yeah, nothing.
I got it in the car. I got it at home. I
Right.
got it at work.
Yeah.
So if I go to a Target or some store or
Well,
something,
yeah.
I'm like, eh.
I mean, outside. Though.
You know
Like,
what? I know part of the reason I think is because I grew up liking to hear my surroundings. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to have
You see,
something
yeah.
to go on around me that I'm not aware of. It's almost like I wouldn't call it a fear, but I don't like being closed off of my environment.
Yeah, especially driving
You
a
know?
car. Yeah, people wearing headphones, especially noise canceling headphones
Yeah.
while driving. Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't
That's
play-
weird.
I'm saying walking like in the woods, let's say.
Yeah, right.
But and having really good quality audio.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different thing because you've never experienced that normally, you know.
Yeah, right.
So,
Could be
yeah,
cool.
It's nice.
I'll have to
But
try
I
it
don't
one
do
day.
it. I don't do it.
I like hearing the crackling.
It seems a
of the
little out
tree with
there.
the
Yeah,
branches.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, when I'm in the woods, it's like I like hearing nature.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why it's so weird because you're like
Yeah.
you're listening to a song you've heard a million times.
If you keep
But
the
in
volume,
nature.
if you have the an open back headphone, you keep the volume down low enough, I guess.
Yeah.
You can mix the exterior sounds with the music, and
Depends how loud the exterior is.
yeah, then you're like, what's
Yeah.
that? But yeah, anyway, tell us in the comments. Tell us what you guys think. Like, you know, what do you look for in a headphone? Specifically, and not any specific headphone model. That's not what we're after. Like, we're after about what exactly, you know,
Yeah, what matters.
What's your goal? Yeah, what's the primary? Like the top three,
Well,
things.
I would
That'd
really
be
think
cool to
everybody's
know.
going to say, well, sound, but
Yeah,
People
something.
think that, but it isn't what they buy on, really. It's a small factor for a lot of people. More
guess.
people now than ever, especially.
Yeah, and I think the more experienced people have, obviously the more refined this answer is going to
Well,
be.
yeah.
They know exactly what they're after. You know, where if you haven't been doing it as long,
Yeah, like,
You
well,
know, you might
still looking.
prioritize different things.
Yeah.
You know, price being probably the main. Price is probably
Of
going to
course,
be the
yeah.
main one. You know, and that would be.
It's got to be
for
affordable.
for a majority
Yeah.
of people. It's
Yeah.
price. You know, but yeah.
I
but
mean, we could kind of exclude price because that
Yeah. Right.
it's a factor for pretty much everyone.
Yeah. Let's just call that. You know, that's there's categories for that. But beyond the money, beyond the cost, what are you looking for? Because well, money fixes some things, but it doesn't fix everything. On that note, thanks everybody for watching. Take care of yourselves. Catch you next time.